Welcome back to One Foot In. I'm Ohana. He's still not win. Sammy
No
Vaserstein back
way.
again. To I suppose back to gloat maybe to celebrate the prediction from last night's game. Today is Friday, recording Friday. This would be we would be recording Thursday generally, but I guess we'd upload Friday anyways. But obviously Notre Dame, Georgia had to be moved because of terrorist attack and tragedy, unfortunately. So that's obviously the reason why. And we're recording on Friday, so I guess this will be out a bit later. I don't know. Anyways, but you called your shot on Notre Dame, Georgia, and we'll recap
Yes,
all
I
the
did.
games today. But I guess I wanna work backwards, starting with the Fighting Irish
The
advancing to the
Fighting
Final
Irish.
Four. Yeah. So I mean,
Um,
I'll let you have the stage.
yeah, thank you for having me again on here. I'm really happy to recap um, this game and gloat again on what I think is probably one of my greatest sports takes, at least
Mm,
uh, one of my greatest sports takes that I've really verbalized here, and I was able to verbalize it on the podcast. So thank you for giving me that platform.
of course.
Um, that was a very cathartic watch. What can I say? Ooh. That was a very cathartic watch. I mean, that was um, pretty much exactly what I expected and exactly what I said on the pod. I
Hmm.
mean, I said I was waiting for the wheels to fall off. Sure, they were playing without their starting quarterback, who, to be honest, I think probably would have done worse. I think Gunnar actually played a pretty solid game, but that's beside the point. The wheels fell off Georgia. And I am very happy to report that. I'm very happy to have watched that. I think it's exactly, again, what I said. The Fighting Irish um, really looked good. They played with a lot of swag. They played with a lot of intensity. They played as a team that thought they were better, would play better. They were better, and they did play better. Um, yeah, I mean, not much else to say there other than I like the Fighting Irish heading into the next round, and I like them. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, but I really enjoyed the Fighting Irish in this round, and I think they're going to be looking good for the rest of the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you said the wheels will fall off for Georgia. You comped them to the Chiefs, so we'll see if the wheels fall off for the Chiefs as well. You did say the Chiefs have the guy on the field that Georgia
I,
did not have.
I don't think the Chiefs. I don't. I think the Chiefs end up losing at
Mm,
some point this year, but I don't see the wheels falling off. I think this was definitely a
no, yeah. Oh,
wheels
okay.
falling off situation here with Georgia.
You're saying long-term wheels fall off. You're saying changing of the
Um,
guard.
Perhaps. I mean, I don't think we're gonna see. I don't think we're gonna see a bad Georgia team for a while. I don't think we'll ever really see a bad Georgia team with Kirby Smart at the helm. But um, I think we saw. I think we saw the wheels fall off the 2021, 2022 Natty machine.
Mhm. I agree with that. I mean, I've kind of felt that way the whole year, and
Yeah,
at time, I mean, I suppose at times it felt like it was a bit early on it, saying it because I was saying this like during the regular season. I was very low on Georgia, low relative, to their championship
of course, of course.
expectations. After the or before the yeah before the Notre Dame Indiana game. Indiana, by the way, little shout out to Curtis Rourke. Um, because obviously I'm an Indiana guy, and I had to eat some crow with how they looked against good teams. But turns out the quarterback was playing on a torn ACL the whole year. So you know what? I'm back in. I'm back in on Indiana. But
They're
there's not
still
an
Indiana.
there's still Indiana. Whatever. Well, whatever. Quarterback torn ACL. You never know. Anyways, Notre Dame. I said before the Indiana game, Riley Leonard is not the greatest passer in the world, I suppose, and he hasn't shown anything to, you know, make my take any worse or make my take invalid. He's really just, there's not much there arm wise, but what he provides athletically, and this is what showed up in the game, especially against Georgia, is a huge component of what can allow Notre Dame to win these games the way they've been winning them the past two. And he does provide that explosiveness, I suppose, from the quarterback relative to the quarterback position on the ground. He got them 80 yards on 14 carries. That's 42 more yards than Georgia's supposed, number one running back, Trevor Etienne. But every run that Riley Leonard had in this game felt really big. Like I guess 14 carries for 80 yards doesn't look that insane. We've seen quarterbacks run for much more. We're seeing quarterbacks run for 1,000 yards in a season and all that. But it felt like each time he took off, it was in these big spots, and he's picking up these like 8 yards a play, um, 8 to 11 yards on these runs, and they're just like backbreakers, really, when your quarterback can do that for a defense. And where this game really turned was within 55 seconds of game time, 40 seconds, the final 40 seconds of the first half, and then literally the first kickoff of the
The
second half.
first play.
Because it was tied 3-3 with 40 seconds left in the first half, and Georgia probably felt, all right, we get into halftime, make some adjustments, whatever. We'll eventually, like, they're not pulling away, and our discipline and all that, what you're talking about with Georgia, will carry us to win. Then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, it's touchdown, field goal touchdown, and you're up 20-3, and then it feels almost like does Georgia have the offensive firepower to even come back? And there was a moment there where I was like, oh, okay. When they cut it to 20-10 and then they get the ball back to
Yeah.
it's like, oh, they might be back. But they weren't, and they didn't score another point, and that was it for Georgia. And with that loss, it was the final game of the second round, and all the teams on bye lost. Which maybe you don't want to be, maybe you don't want the bye, maybe you don't want to be a conference champion with these playoffs. Maybe a week off isn't good for college kids. I suppose I can connect it to my
Yeah.
uh, developed brain theory with, that dates back to Cam Rising. And, maybe they're too young for a week off. Maybe they need to just go, go, go. And they don't use that week off like an NFL player would, like a professional would. Even though, yeah,
They do get those weeks off or get that week off between the conference championship and those bowl
yeah,
games that are all
yeah.
in between. So
Too much,
I don't
too
know.
much
I feel like
rest.
we probably need a little more of a sample size to
Yeah,
really make that a conclusion. Um, but yeah, it is interesting that all the conference champions are out. I think that's more of my takeaway here,
yeah.
rather than just the bye week.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Uh,
conference championships get you the bye week. Could be one and the same. Could be all together. But
yeah,
that is unfortunate for conference championships. For conference champions. And I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see if it's a trend or just a one-off. But we'll have to wait for years to come for that. Um, but I feel like that's pretty much all for that game. Now Notre Dame gets to face Penn State, which I mean, not gets to face Penn State because Penn State's been awesome, and this game could also go either way. I mean, I am a Drew Aller guy. Penn State offensively is obviously a lot more explosive, has a lot higher ceiling offensively than Notre Dame, and so I'm excited to talk about that game, when the time comes. But
of course.
yeah, if any, you did get this right, so I don't know if you want to take another victory lap.
Yeah, I mean, everything I said, everything I saw on the field is pretty much what you sort of touched upon. Um, Again, just pretty much, um, again, just pretty much. I mean, you had those explosive plays out of Notre Dame. You had those big plays, the fumble. You have the touchdown immediately after. Those are all great momentum plays, but um, Notre Dame just felt like they controlled the game the entire way. And again, Georgia didn't have the firepower. Sometimes teams can just will themselves off talent alone. And I guess that was kind of my point, which is this isn't the same Georgia team that can talent plus discipline their way to a win. They kind of just have to discipline their way into a win. And when you're down 20-3, you're not really going to be able to do that. So,
Yeah. And obviously Parker Jones, the little sideline incident, he was
Right,
getting
right.
tough. And I don't know why the broadcast kept going to him. He was just getting killed on Twitter. It was really unfortunate for Parker Jones. Feel bad.
He's like a nice guy.
Yeah, seems nice enough. He was just celebrating.
Could
Um,
establish the pro Jones, establish being the pro Jones podcast
I
here.
mean, I think it's a stupid rule. I think I'm like referees. I don't know why they hold themselves in such high regard. Like, oh, you ran into me on the sideline. They can't be on the side or whatever. I don't know. Maybe the referee shouldn't be on the sideline, like, or maybe the referee should look. I mean, obviously they have to look at what's happening on the field, but I don't know. I don't really like putting all the blame on the player there. He like got excited. He's celebrating. What is?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Anyways,
No
that's enough of that
malicious
game.
intent.
No, definitely not, definitely not. So I don't love that. We need more positivity. But
Def-
I guess if we're working backwards, it's time to talk about Oregon, Ohio State, which
Both got wrong.
yeah, which was yeah, we both got it
Wow.
wrong. But I mean, I suppose I don't know that I got it especially wrong. I don't know that getting it something especially wrong is a thing. It's definitely a thing. I've gotten things especially wrong. Notably, my Nebraska plus 6.5 lock of the week.
Right.
Um, but Oregon, they were my team, and one and done, flame out, not great. Now, I've talked about how I thought they got, screwed pretty much as the number one seed having to face either Ohio State or Tennessee and having the hardest path, which is a terrible reward for, being the best team in the country all year. And I
Mhm.
still feel that way, even though Oregon's not going to make that excuse, and Dan Lanning didn't make that excuse because they're a great program. Dan Lanning's a great coach, and it's part of why I
Yes.
loved Oregon all year. But they got they got just destroyed in this game from jump. It was from 7-0. It was over, and the big story for, or I don't know if the big macro story, but the big winner of this game, you could say, is Jeremiah Smith who
Yeah.
has elevated himself into that tier of media conversation number one pick if he declared as a true freshman. That guy's like I remember guys like Trevor Lawrence being the the subject of that conversation after their freshman year. Obviously, Tank for Tua was a thing, not after his freshman year because he only played a half, but during his sophomore year. And
Right.
Jeremiah Smith has elevated himself into that, that G word category, which has not been that successful recently for guys labeled generational. But he sure seems like it, and he completely dominated Oregon. And like the Ducks couldn't do anything. They just could not do anything until late. They got some offense going. They scored some points, but it was what 34-0 before they did anything. So
Yeah.
and that was that.
Yeah. That was a very interesting game to watch. I saw somebody touch upon Dylan Gabriel, sort of being one of the most irrelevant stars we've seen in college football in a while. And it's really interesting because now I think we're gonna sit back, look back on his career and say, did he ever have a single iconic moment, iconic game? Um, and maybe that's just the story of his career at this point. Maybe that's the story of um, it almost feels like the story of Oregon, these last few years of contention. I mean, they did have Mariota way back when, um, but even then, I mean, they were getting destroyed by Ohio State. Um, yeah, I mean, Oregon really has to look in the mirror, I think, after this game as a program, because where do you really go from here? I mean, they're throwing so much money at this team. They're throwing so much money in recruitment. Again, to his credit, I think Lanning is a great coach, but it's just crazy how they still can't get over this hump. And also with Jeremiah Smith, it's a very interesting situation where um, it's crazy how the talent just like completely mismatches and outweighs whatever talent Oregon's been able to put together on that team. Um, Really just goes to show that he is that G word. Um, he is that generational, doing that at basically 15 years old. I mean, that dude was born in 2006 or something. Um, it's just
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy what he's been able to do. And little personal anecdote here, I would say. Jeremiah Smith went to Chaminade High School with a good friend of mine, Josh. They played football together, good friends. I did try my best. For any UF fans out there watching, I did try my best to get Josh to convince Jeremiah to flip-flop his way over to Gainesville. I do think he had UF number 2 on his list, but he did want to go over to Brian Hartline, go hang out with them, go learn with that guy, Dolphins legend. Um,
Shout out.
Out in Columbus. Um, and I do think that this game, unfortunately, closes the chapter on a potential transfer back to the great state of Florida. But just a fun little anecdote, Jeremiah, hometown hero, Hollywood, Florida. Um, Go ball out.
Oh, ball. I mean,
Perhaps
oh yeah, yeah.
perhaps a little bit of a side tangent, but that was a crazy game to see. Um, and again, it was really a crazy moment where I think Jeremiah Smith almost single-handedly just put that team to rest within 15 game minutes.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Ohio State now has to be the favorite to win it all. And this is the thing about how Ohio State, like talent wise, this is what they should have been all year. This is what they should be a lot of the time because they consistently are about as talented as any other team in the country. And especially this year with the guys that they brought in
Yeah,
from the transfer portal. I mean, they literally brought in Caleb Downs, who has an argument as the best defensive player in the country. And that was awesome all year and has been awesome. And Jeremiah Smith, like we've talked about, is seems to be the G word. And the Mecca Buka is still there, which it feels like he's been there for forever. And they brought in Will Howard to play quarterback, and he's had his ups and downs, but he's been like unbelievable the past 2 games against Tennessee and Oregon. And they brought in Quinshon Judkins at running back, and they have him and Travion Henderson as like a 1-2 punch. And it's just, I don't know, everything's there for Ohio State. And it seems like the only times they lose is when they get in their own way. And they haven't been doing
yeah,
that at all. Like they put together 2 dominant, back-to-back dominant performances, which I was talking about last episode, is almost impossible for college football programs against great teams, which is what Ohio State, like, credit to them. I talked about Oregon having to face either Ohio State or Tennessee. Ohio State's had to face Tennessee and Oregon, and they've done that. They've also had the hardest path so far, and that's what they've done. And
yeah. And again, I think a lot of it comes down to having the luxury of losing games and growing from that. I think we touched upon that a little bit on the last episode, but uh, it really is crazy that they've had this rare, I mean, not rare, unprecedented ability to lose 2 games, uh, make the playoff, and learn from those games. I mean, they literally learned from losing to Oregon in a way that they ended up dominating them the second time when it really mattered. They had the luxury of losing that Michigan game on top of that Oregon game and coming out angry, coming out pissed, playing pissed off. And that's something we really haven't seen in college football, which makes this an interesting favorite for the Natty. I mean, you go back and look at other teams that have been able to lose games like that, had the luxury. Ohio State did have that luxury of losing a game to Virginia Tech during their national championship year. Um, I mean, you think about Tim Tebow's promise speech when the Gators lost that game back in '08, right? I believe it was, yeah, it was the '08 year. And again, when teams are afforded that ability to have one loss, um, it really does wonders for a team that's so talented. So the fact that Ohio State's been able to lose 2 games and still stay alive, um, goes to show you how much that helps when the team's already talented. I mean, once you have the talent, um, it seems like a lot of the work is done. It's not necessarily not necessarily that it gets easier, but more so that um, you really just got to find that discipline once you have the talent. But they definitely have the talent in the building.
Well, now they've got to play Texas, which I want to get to that game because that game was probably the craziest one. Or not probably. That game was
Yeah.
definitely the craziest one of the four. And I think we can just like jump to the fourth quarter because Texas scores a touchdown to take a 24-8 lead over Arizona State. And at this point, it feels like, all right, this game is over. Arizona State's not, they're down 16. They're not going to make this comeback against a Texas team that, in theory, on paper, should be awesome. It should be an awesome team, and their defense is awesome, and all this. And so it felt like at that point, oh, this game is over. And then all of a sudden, Cam Scatterbo throws up on the sideline and like just completely gains all his powers back after a pretty, quiet game before that and just takes over. He throws a touch. He throws a 42-yard touchdown. Scatterbo does, the running back, to cut it
Yeah.
and then they get the 2-point conversion to cut it to 24-16. Then they get the ball back and Scatterbo rushes for the touchdown and the 2-point conversion. All of a sudden it's tied. Like in 5 minutes, Arizona State scores 16 unanswered to tie the game against Texas. And then it's like, uh-oh, the lights are bright again, and Quinn Ewers is your quarterback, which we've talked about. What's going to happen? Are they going to fall flat? Is it like, if it felt like all the momentum just completely, Scatterbo and Arizona State just snatched it. And 24-24, okay, but it's not over. Texas still has the ball. And Texas, well, actually, before Texas gets the ball back for that final drive, Arizona State stops Texas and gets the ball back, tied at 24. And then there's the non-targeting on the third down, the controversial non-targeting call, which I think most people feel like was targeting, and because the helmet, it's helmet to helmet contact on
Right.
a defenseless receiver, and that would have given Arizona State the first down and field goal range. And if they kick a field goal, who knows? They probably win it. But no targeting. And if you want to, if you want to talk about that, no targeting. Um, but yeah, so they don't get it, and they have to give the ball back to Texas, and then Texas goes down, and they do get in field goal range. And Bert Auburn, who had missed a kick earlier, that would have given Texas a lead. He's out there. He's trotting out there for a game winner as time expires, and he just bricks it. He hits the
Yeah.
upright. Um, my dad
Which I
is,
guess to his
yeah.
credit, I mean, kind of evens the playing field here. I think it was nice to go into overtime.
Oh,
Both 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 teams had their little duds to end the game, keep it clean at 24-24. So I guess karma was doing its job there.
yeah.
Um, so but sorry, continue.
Well, I was just saying, yeah, he misses the kick. My dad goes on a rant about kickers, and he doesn't understand how they don't make 100% of the kicks before he realizes
Yeah,
that.
it does the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is before he realizes this is college football and not the NFL. And then he's like, after he realizes that these aren't professionals, he's like, oh, okay, a bit eases up, but he still thinks he should make 100% of the kicks. And he's also convinced that quarterbacks complete more passes than kickers make kicks. Like statistically, it's false, but whatever. I
Right.
suppose the heart is in the right place about kickers making kicks. Um,
Yeah.
but then it goes into overtime, and Arizona State takes the lead on an awesome Scatterbo touchdown. Where credit to the old lineman, I think number 77, who literally drags him into the end zone on top of him. And it's like, wow, it's 31-24. Texas has the ball back. Do we feel like Texas is going to do anything? No, because they haven't done anything for a whole quarter. And then it's 4th and 8, and Kelvin Banks, your all-world tackle, false start, and now it's 4th and 13 with Quinn Ewers again. The lights literally cannot be brighter than this. At this point, the pressure is all the way on, and a credit to him and credit to Sark, and credit to Matthew Golden because part of me thought he was going to drop that. Like a little part of me thought he was going to drop that, but Ewers makes a nails throw. I mean, albeit an open Matthew Golden, but the play call is unbelievable. The throw is calm, like Ewers is calm in the pocket, and he just delivers the throw, and they tie it up. And then the very first play of second overtime, touchdown, 2-point conversion for Texas, and that was it. Arizona State didn't respond, and Texas advances to face Ohio State. And this game was just unbelievable. And listen, I didn't think Ewers was great for most of the game, but shout out to him for being great when it mattered most, which
Yeah,
ultimately, like I've seen him be great when it doesn't matter. I wanted to see him be great when it does matter, and that's what he did in this game. So I'm not gonna sit here and hate on him or try to discredit him. And shout out to Scadaboo, who won MVP of the game in a losing effort, which needs to happen more often. Um,
100%. I mean, well, best example of that is obviously 2015 LeBron.
yeah.
But uh, yeah, I always love to see that. It's always a fun, interesting little fact when it does happen, and it should
Mhm.
happen a lot. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to argue that in this game.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess a little take if a guy throws up, and then does what Scadaboo does, I think the throw up should be a little boost, to their MVP chances. Um, or
100%,
even guarantee
100%.
the MVP. Like throw up plus awesome performance should guarantee it. Awesome performance could go either
Of
way, but like I think that little element definitely helped.
course, I mean, we're always looking for a good story. This is a narrative-driven sport, or
Hmm.
sports are narrative or a narrative-driven. Enter Maybe
Yeah,
everything entertainment narrative-driven. I don't know. I
I
don't know
think
what my.
so.
I think my point is in there somewhere. Um, but yeah, I mean, I thought this was a cool game. I think we got this a little wrong. Or at least I got this a little wrong. Didn't expect Texas to have much. I didn't expect Texas to have much issue with this Arizona State team, but again, to their credit, we saw a great individual performance. And again, we've seen a great team that's been able to come together and win games unexpectedly. I think their coach is really um, someone special there down in
Shout out.
Arizona. Um, and again, to his credit, Quinn Ewers got some had some balls making that throw, which again, even if it's not the hardest throw, it's not the craziest thing he's ever done. In term like, you know, as a football player, it is still very difficult to sit back there with all the noise, with that reputation, um, and make the right make not just the right throw, just make the throw properly and well. I wouldn't have been surprised if he missed it or just wasn't up to the moment. I mean, that's what we talked about. But in a weird way, this kind of benefits Texas. I mean, giving Quinn Ewers not reps because again, had they missed that fourth down, their season's over. But getting reps in high pressure situations against a team where he should be delivering gives him good practice for what should be a good game against Ohio State. So it's interesting to see what Quinn Ewers does with this experience. It could be nothing, and honestly, part of me expects it to be nothing. But
Probably nothing, yeah.
um, still a great game. And still a great game out of Texas. I mean, they have their cow or whatever coming in for the
Shout out
next
Bebo.
one, I believe. Shout out Bevo. I believe he's going to be there for the next game. So perhaps that's the piece they're missing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they won anyways without him. So, but yeah, maybe that's the piece that'll take them to the next level. I hate to bring up the Chiefs, multiple times for multiple teams, but yeah, the reps thing for Ewers, it's very much the Chiefs in these, games against Carolina. Not that Arizona State is Carolina. And Arizona State, by the way, did an internship um spring junior year for an Arizona-based, company. So always nice to see Arizona State you know, playing well, doing their thing. But
Um, not to interrupt you here, Eitan,
yeah.
but not to be a downer here. Um, I briefly visited Phoenix earlier this summer. Um, Personally, not a fan. So I would say I'm pretty indifferent on Arizona.
Okay. Fair enough. Um,
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, I think that's Arizona now has taken a shot. Utah has taken a big shot. The state of Utah took a big shot from Win a while back. Um, Win noted
Interesting.
not a big fan of the state of Utah,
Interesting,
but
because on
yeah.
that same trip where I visited Phoenix, I actually loved Salt Lake City and the entire
Oh,
state of Utah. Yeah, I was also in Utah a couple months ago as well. Um, Personally, one of my favorite states in the country. So I'm
wow.
gonna have to disagree with Win here, very strongly, honestly.
Okay. I
Um,
mean, we
yeah,
can repairing relations with Utah. I know maybe he loves Arizona, and then it's just like, we've got all our
yeah, maybe
bases
this is
covered.
this is something to, yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, perhaps we start the three of us can start a podcast discussing states, but um,
I'd be happy to.
yeah,
Sounds like a
that's
great time. Um,
yeah. My apologies. We might be tangenting a little too
oh,
hard
it's
here.
okay. Tangents are good. But no, yeah, yours, like you said, this is like these are huge reps for him. I mean, not that he hasn't had huge reps. It just feels like before when he's had them, he's come up short. Um,
Yeah,
and this time he didn't. So yeah, it. We'll see. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe Ohio State just blows them out, and it's never, you know, this doesn't matter. But maybe it's a close game, which it could be. Again, Texas. I don't really know what to make of Texas and Ohio State. We've seen them, we've seen them play down to the level of their opponent. Well, I mean, it feels like every game they're playing down to the level of their opponent because if they were playing at their level every game, they'd be blowing everyone out. So
yeah.
yeah, that's kind of what it feels like with Ohio State, and I'm excited for that game. I'm excited for obviously both of these games, but yeah, Texas advances 39-31, and I think the game is in Arlington, right? Texas,
That's so right.
Ohio's the Cotton Bowl should be in Arlington. Yeah, AT&T Stadium, Jerry
Hmm.
World. Yeah, I mean Bevo. Jerry's not going to miss
Jerry's
an
bringing
opportunity.
Bevo in, of
Yeah,
course.
Jerry's bringing Bevo, and that's a lock. But let's move on to the final game of the
Yeah,
second round. Let's talk about Penn State. Let's talk about the Penn State Nittany Lions. I always struggle with that, but whatever. Let's talk about Penn State
yeah.
and their takedown of Boise State.
Penn State,
Yeah,
dominating, taking down Boise State. I mean, I felt great about my Notre Dame pick, but um, I think I pretty much hit it correctly here as well. Um, Again, Boise State was a great story. Ashton Genty was obviously a great story, and they're not, some program that just had a Cinderella run. I mean, this is what Boise State does. And once they finally had the opportunity with the expanded playoff to maybe make a little more noise than they would have been able to do in the 14 playoff, they made it. Because again, this is one of the premier programs, um, outside of the P4. I mean, this is what Boise State does. Again, they produce a lot of great talent. They really recruit well in a lot of these under-recruited areas, specifically in the Northwest. Um, all that being said, they're coming up against a legitimate, is it right to call them a powerhouse? I don't know if Penn State's a powerhouse, but um, they're
playing
obviously,
like it.
yeah. I guess I'll hesitate on calling them a powerhouse because I feel like that might have connotations of being closer to an Ohio State, an
Yeah,
Alabama, Georgia. But um, again, this wasn't a Cinderella run, but at the same time, Boise State just met a team that's significantly better than them, and you know, both figuratively and literally plays in a different league than they do. Um, and I'm happy we saw just that. I'm happy we understand the pecking order of college football. And also, I'm happy to see Penn State do well. I mean, I really hope perhaps maybe this 12-team playoffs bringing it out, maybe Aller is really making this leap that you've been discussing heavily, but um, Penn State with a great win.
yeah. Yeah, Penn State, I mean, well, I don't want to say it was never close. It was 14-7, so it was close at some point. But yeah, ultimately it felt like, and I think this showed up. It was just two different, the level of play or the level of talent on the field was insurmountable for Boise State. It felt like at some point they just got out talented, and they did make this mistakes. I mean, Maddox Madsen, had a he had 3 picks overall in the game, but he had a bad little stretch there where it was 17-14 Boise State. They score a touchdown. And then Penn State goes back and they score a touchdown, make it 24-14. And then Madsen throws a bad pick on
Yeah.
on Penn State side of the field in Penn State territory. Now, they didn't do anything with it, Penn State, but then the really unfortunate part for Boise State, they get the ball back, obviously, off the punt, and then they miss a field goal that would have cut it to 24-17. And then off that missed field goal, Penn State scores a touchdown, and then Madsen throws a pick, and like another pick. Then by the time he threw his third pick, it was already pretty much over, so that didn't matter. But just an unfortunate stretch there, and G&T didn't have the dominant performance that was required of him if they wanted to win this game. He had like 100 yards on 30 carries, which obviously isn't great. And obviously Penn State's defense is awesome. I've been talking about this for a while now, and they could pretty much focus their attention on G&T and shut him down, which is what they did. Um, I don't want to say shut.
Yeah.
He still got 100 yards, and he had a few nice
Yeah.
plays,
I mean, it's
but
shut down for his standards.
yeah, relative they shut him down, and relative to
Yeah.
what for what Boise State needed, he was shut down because he couldn't deliver that. And yeah, I mean, Drew Allen he didn't need to be Superman or anything. He completed 13 passes, threw 3 touchdowns, but yeah, he didn't need to be special. Tyler Warren caught 2 touchdowns. Tyler Warren's awesome. An awesome prospect at tight end projecting forward for the NFL. I don't know that he's Brock Bowers, although I did see some people try to start that don't be surprised if Tyler Warren is prospected as close to Brock Bowers. I don't know about all that, but
Yeah.
he is awesome. And yeah, I mean Penn State, I guess this game in itself it isn't that interesting to me to discuss. It's more so Penn State's um Penn State as a program right now. I mean, obviously you can joke and say they still haven't beat anyone. So that's coming for Penn State, and we'll see. We'll see if Notre Dame is like maybe if Penn State wins, if Penn State beats Notre Dame handily, you know it. Are we going to give credit to Penn State for that being an awesome win? I mean, I know I will, but I'm saying the masses, I suppose, are we going to be like, oh, Notre Dame, whatever, another lower cal or a lesser team than they are. But I think Notre Dame, they beat Georgia. They prove if it was Georgia against Penn State and then Penn State wins, nobody would be saying anything about that.
Yeah.
But I do think it feels I don't know, it feels like a different Penn State program. It doesn't feel like a program that's gonna fall on their
Oh,
face um because they're playing up in the level of competition or the stage is brighter or anything or any of that. Like it does feel more real and more like a top team. And I guess that's all you can
who knows? I
really,
mean, maybe
yeah,
it is being propped up by the 12-team playoff, but um, that is exciting to see. I mean, is this their first time in a 4-team bracket?
yeah,
I think it
I think
is,
so.
right?
I think so. Pretty
Yeah.
sure that's correct. Penn State playoff history.
I don't think this is probably their
Yeah,
first berth in college
this is their
football
first. This
playoff.
is their first playoff. Yeah, first playoff appearance. That is a fact. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and their path hasn't been crazy. It's been SMU and Boise State, which probably the easiest path of any of the teams so far. It
Yeah.
it could you could have argued Texas, but Arizona State obviously not, put up a great fight. And so I think that gives more credence to them as a program and that path's toughness. But yeah, even though it hasn't been two world beaters that Penn State's beat, they've done their job. They've looked awesome in both games. And I expect
Hmm.
them, and I mean, I'll get more in depth in it when the time comes again for that preview episode. But I expect them to look awesome against Notre Dame. So
Yeah.
good for Penn State. Happy for them. I had them making the playoffs before the season started, and they've proven me right. Another team actually that's proven me right. I know I said Oregon's been the one, but Penn State somehow outlasted Oregon. I really can't believe it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add. That's pretty much it for me on this game.
Yeah, no, I mean, me too. Again, there's really not much to say other than we were right.
Yeah, we were right. I'll take my wins. I mean, I was kind of right on Texas, Arizona. I did say it would be Arizona State would make it competitive. I thought Texas would pull away in the second half, but you know, the spirit was there.
Sometimes they don't, but they pulled away. I mean, they pulled away when they needed to.
Yeah, yeah, they did. I
Although
mean, the
fourth and
fourth and
long is a little,
13, yeah, I don't know if that's pulling away, but they did
yeah,
they did their job, I suppose, at the end. I got the bottom half of the bracket correct. The top half was um a disaster, really. I mean, I said Georgia would close. I did want to pick Notre Dame, but I didn't, so I'm not going to give myself credit for wanting to do something. But
oh,
yeah,
I mean, I'm feeling great on my 75% here.
no, that's three
So,
and one is excellent. So you should feel great. But I think that's pretty much it for these recaps. I don't know if there's anything going on you want to talk about. Again, this is usually our tangent section. Our
right,
little
yeah,
a little rant about whatever. So I don't know,
yeah.
you
Oh, I
can.
think I'm gonna go see Nosferatu actually in a couple
Oh,
hours.
oh, awesome. Okay.
Um, have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I did the double feature, ACU and
Oh, right. Okay,
Nosferatu.
yeah, okay, that's what I figured. Um,
Yeah,
but so I'm excited for that, I suppose.
I mean, I think
I
you should
guess,
be. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I guess I don't really have thoughts on it because I haven't watched it yet, but I am excited.
that doesn't make sense. That does make sense. I think it's. I don't know if have you seen any of Eggers' other movies? Like, have you
No,
watched The
I'm not.
Lighthouse? Okay, yeah,
No, no, I haven't watched The Lighthouse. I need
yeah,
to.
yeah. I
Maybe I'll
mean,
watch this.
yeah. I mean, probably it makes sense to watch it after this. I haven't seen The Northman or The Witch, which I want to watch both of those. But then, I watched Lighthouse and Nosferatu, obviously. Very distinctive style, very fun. It's very like not a fun movie, but it's very fun to look at.
Gotcha.
His movies. But yeah, I mean, I did a 5-star rewatch last night. That was cool. So,
Yeah, what would you
uh,
watch?
The Pianist.
Oh, I need to watch The Pianist as
Yeah,
well.
it's on Prime.
Oh, it's on Prime?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Did a rewatch of that. I think I might do Dune 2 tonight. Dune 2
Ooh.
rewatch.
I also am in the middle of watching I'm Not There, which I saw your review for it.
Oh yeah,
Um, yeah, I tend to agree, honestly.
with me.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm halfway. I can't imagine it gets much better. Oh, not that it's
yeah.
bad, it's just too pretentious, perhaps.
It's definitely pretentious, and yeah, I mean, I stand by my like. I can see how a super dedicated, devoted, knows everything about Dylan fan would enjoy it, but like I don't have that level of knowledge yet, to where I can enjoy that type of film. Whereas like a complete unknown, I feel like I've got a decent grasp on like it's 3 or 4 years, and I don't even really see a complete unknown as a movie. Really, it doesn't really feel like a movie. It's more of like a concert type of thing. It's just these performances, which I really loved. Like that's what I love about the movie. 'Cause I mean, on its own as a movie, I don't think it holds up that well. But I don't know. I just enjoyed
Yeah.
seeing them perform these songs that I actually do know and really like, and it was so. I guess that was more suited for my level of of fandom.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's pretty much it. I don't want to hold you, too long.
No, no, of course. Again, always a blast. Thank you for having me, Eitan.
Of course. And yeah, I guess. When's the next round?
I don't even
Um,
know.
let
I
me
mean,
tell you.
probably soon, right?
Next week, Thursday, Notre Dame, Penn State is Thursday, and then I don't I imagine Texas is also Texas. Oh, Texas, Ohio State is Friday. Okay, so preview will be sometime next week before that, obviously. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. Appreciate it. Appreciate everyone for watching, listening. I'll get some clips up for this episode as well. And yeah, see you.